Alright, for the spells, it's pretty, obvious. I main 3 MSTs. I main 3 MSTs, and I also have 1 heavy. Only the reason why is because I want to make sure that when I play stuff like my Monarchs, they don't get solemned or bottomless or anything like that. So I try to make sure that that stays out of my way. Next, the 3 enemy controllers. The enemy controller for this deck is amazing because if it's like standby phase, chain enemy controller. In my standby, getting rid of the Treeborn I just brought back, then it will come back again because it's still your standby and take control of one of your opponent's monsters. This card is like the brain control of the deck, which, not even brain control, like change of heart. It's the change of heart for this deck because most of the time you're just going to take it, either attack with it just for some damage and then sacrifice, or regardless, this deck can steal your opponent's card so easily thanks to also Soul Exchange I run 2 of. So I take my... Soul Exchange is good, but I'm not giving it too much credit because you could just be like, oh, I sacrifice your cards. I can't go through my battle phase this turn. Not saying that, oh, no, that's an awful thing, but that's why I only like to run 2 of it. Then for the necessities, I mean, for the staples, just like I said before, Heavy, Monster Reborn, and Dark Hole, which any good player would play. So that's for that. And my own tech trap card is Treacherous Trap Hole. Many people say Treacherous Trap Hole is awful for this deck because they're just like, oh, what's so good about it if your opponent has, if you're playing literally no trap cards, so the moment you set something, they're just going to activate MST on it. Which, I'm not going to lie, it has happened to me a few times where I set Treacherous and they MST it. But most of the time, I don't really care as much. Because, I already kind of built this deck, and Treacherous has helped me a lot and over the times, as the time goes on. Because sometimes I just trick my opponent, sometimes with enemy controller. Because sometimes I just literally set my own MST, and they just hit their own, they use their MST on my MST. Sometimes I just trick my opponent when it comes to Treacherous. And Treacherous has helped me many times before, so I love teching it. Okay. For the extra deck, Formula Synchron, Necessity, Effect Veiler, Treeborn. Ally Justice Cataster, because you never know really the scenario. Cataster could help. Black Rose Dragon, just to nuke the field if I ever really need it. Stardust Dragon, putting a Kaiast or a Ryza with a Formula Synchron. Same scenario goes with Scrap Dragon, Colossal Fighter, and Thought Ruler Archfiend. Next for the Exceeds, I have 3 Gotchi Gotchis. Gotchi Gotchi is pretty much the stall card that you'll stall out just in case if you need to go, go into your Monarchs for later, or you just want a good little pump up by 400. Then an Insector Extra Beetle, a Gaia Dragon, Swordbreaker, number 25, and lastly, a Photon Strike Bouncer. So that's my take on my Froggy Monarch build. If anybody has any tips, to really make it better, I would love your input because I would like to make this deck as good as I can. Because I really think that this deck is pretty good in this format because it's just like now people are really, it's not the best deck in the world, but I like it and I'm going to continue to run it because it's like one of my favorite decks. If I would go to a Regionals or a YCS, this is the deck I'd most likely bring with me. I don't have the Constellars yet, so I'd most likely walk around with these. I wouldn't want to bring something like my Dark Worlds or Light Swarms. Not saying that they're not good enough, I just prefer this deck. So don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Leave me a comment below telling me what you thought about my deck and how I could make it better or just your input on it. And just again, a special thanks to Moki Moki for the win, for the Treeborn Frog. So, thank you. So, bye. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back and play. Please, can you like the video and comment below? Because if you don't, I'm going to have to go back to my old job. And I don't want to go back to my old job because I don't like doing what I used to do. People used to attack me and I'd have to, I don't care, I'm bored.